We're at the Metals Investor Forum here in Vancouver. It's May 6, 2017. We're listening to a lot of different junior exploration company stories, and there are a number of them that are really very attractive and very interesting and somewhat different from the usual. And one of those is MacDonald Mines. It has a project in near Wawa, around Wawa, Ontario. And it's a news story that I just recently added to my own newsletter. And I'm really pleased to have with me Quentin Yarie. He's the president and CEO of MacDonald Mines. Thanks for joining me today, and thanks for that wonderful talk you just gave.
Yeah, and thank you for inviting me and covering this.
It's really interesting. I had to get you in here. I know we got you into the show at the very end. There happened to be room, and I'm thankful because I think your story is well received. It's a very unusual story. Tell us a little bit about, you have three different forms or styles of gold mineralization. Can you just talk briefly about those or name them? And then let's talk about the one that you think will provide cash flow early on.
Okay. Well, we got involved in the Holdsworth property primarily for what is a typical lode gold deposit, meaning that there's quartz veining, it's structurally altered, it's sort of destroyed rock. There's also the banded iron formation with contact with the Algoma iron formation there, which hosts gold. And then lastly was, not as much interest to us, but is proving to be much more of interest is the oxide sands.
Right.
And those occur at the contact of the felsic rocks with the Algoma iron formation.
All right. So why are those of such great interest now? Tell our viewers.
Yeah, what was interesting about that is we found that they are sands. They subcrop to surface. They're an oxide sands consisting primarily of silica, over 80% silica. And it's an aggregate. So I inquired about getting a permit. We found that we didn't have to have a permit to exploit these things, and we had to have a closure plan. The bulk sampling, the history of these sands has shown that they average about 4 grams per ton gold.
Wow.
And just over an ounce silver.
So it's right on surface.
It's right on surface.
Easy to mine. You don't have to blast or anything. Just basically, it's like an aggregate or
it is treated as an aggregate.
And so you can just pick it up and do what with it?
Well, our intention right now is to take that product. It extends over a strike length of approximately 2 kilometers. It's been tested by people like Richmont Mines, who did an agitated cyanide leach where they got recoveries of over 98%.
Wow.
Which is pretty spectacular. That was without any processing at all. So currently our plan is to do an inferred resource on it, which is simple again. It's just going to be excavating horizontally across this thing over a number of locations, and then we would hopefully bring it in production. And production would look like extracting the sand with an excavator, putting it in a truck, drying it, and trying to concentrate it in some method.
Okay, so you would concentrate it and then have it sent to a mill or you would sell the concentrate?
We would sell the concentrate.
I see.
We've approached companies like Glencore, and there is an appetite for the concentrated material for that site.
So we're looking at gold and silver primarily, a gold and silver concentrate?
Yes, we are.
Do you have any sense of the economics? I know you can't really talk too much about it because you haven't gone through all the 43101 compliance requirements, but do you have any sense? I mean, you've done some bulk sampling. You say you know that you've got around 4 grams and in excess of 1 ounce per silver per ton. Do you have any sense? You must have some idea, or some back of the envelope idea of whether this would be prosperous or not, whether this would make money or not, or else you wouldn't be thinking about going towards production.
Yeah, we believe that there is the great potential here to have revenue for us so that we don't have to dilute the company.
Yeah.
Back in the 30s, a historic resource was drilled off on the property of the pyrite sands. And the calculation was over 1 million tons.
1 million tons. So if you can do the arithmetic, 4 grams per ton and 1 ounce of silver,
you can come up with
some numbers. And it seems to me this kind of a process should be fairly low cost because, again, it's right on surface. Stripping ratio probably pretty low.
Well, 0.
And the work, to work this kind of material isn't difficult either.
No, we're looking at a capital expenditure. We're thinking of somewhere between $300,000 and $700,000.
Wow,
right?
Which is nothing for the.
Well, those numbers will be based on the resource.
Right.
The size will dictate
the size of the machinery.
Of the capital equipment.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay, so you're viewing that as a way to generate early cash flows
yes.
that you can use to finance what the original purpose that you looked for this property was.
Exactly.
The load, the more traditional gold hosted.
Yeah, if our calculations are right, we're looking at the ability to generate north of $100 million in revenue in a very short period of time.
And that could go a long ways. And your share structure is pretty decent now. You don't have that many shares. How many, more or less?
59 million.
59 million. This is what's so important for investors to realize. If you get in early to a story, most often the companies dilute you to oblivion, and you have nothing left. So if you can find a company that can generate cash flows, organically grow the company rather than go out and tap into the equity markets all the time, the early shareholders are much better off. So this is one of the things. One of the things that really attracted me to your story. What are your plans then? Are you making plans already to start exploring the lode?
We will look at it,
but we'll
prospect it and take some structural measurements. But no, the focus this summer will be doing the inferred resource calculation on the sands, with the idea of being in production by a year from now.
Yeah, and with your market cap of about what?
13 to 15 million.
13 to 15 million. I think $1 million
in the bank.
If you're looking at the kind of success that you're talking about economically, obviously these shares are very underpriced, and of course time will tell. But I'm a believer, and that's why I put it in why I own the stock too, and why I put it in my own newsletter.
Yeah, I own a bit too.
I'll bet you do. I'll bet you do. I'll bet you. Well, I always like to see that. I like to see skin in the game by the management, and that's also another positive. Anything else you'd like to add, Quentin?
No, like I say, the opportunity to come here and present your coverage has been excellent. First time here.
Well, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure meeting you and hearing the story, and I'm really excited about it. So we'll keep close watch of all the press releases coming out the rest of this year. That's for sure. Thanks very much.
Thank you.